I'm
Hi,
pretending.
everyone. Welcome back. You know us, we're the Salty Sisters. And, today I think is super important. Well, everything we talk about is important. I mean, let's just put that out there. But I'm just going to say that. So, if you've ever felt like you were late finding your voice, I have felt that way. Like everyone else got the script and you were still trying to figure out your lines. This conversation is for you. This conversation is not about being polished. It's not about perfect timing. It's about what happens when your voice finally shows up after the silence, after the doubt, after life made you sit back and watch for a while. That happened to me too. Some of us didn't start loud. Some of us had to earn our volume. And I can resonate with that too. This is a great conversation we're having already. I'm agreeing with everything. Some of us had to earn our volume. And when it does come, it comes with an edge, but it comes with truth and with maybe just a little bit of salt or maybe a lot in our case. So whether you're just starting to speak up or you've been holding back pieces of yourself, this is your space to lean in, get honest, and maybe even get a little louder than you planned. Because finding your voice and your own timeline, that's not about being late. That's about being ready. So, welcome to our conversation today. I am the freaking fabulous Cat Corchado, proud military veteran and founder of the Fit for Life Alliance, where I believe that everyone has the right to feel good in their body. And this beautiful woman, wait, did I do it right? Did I do it? Well, someone either on the right or left of me. It's Yvonne. Would you like to introduce yourself, Yvonne?
Sure, sure, if I can now. Oh my gosh. Hello, I'm Yvonne Marchese. I am an age agitator, play instigator, a believer in do-overs. I'm a photographer, a podcast host, speaker. Uh, she says speaker. I don't know where that came. What happened? Speaker,
Speaker.
speaker. Yeah, and
Cover model.
oh well.
Like, oh, that little thing.
So I definitely have been learning to use my voice in new ways at this age. Like I am 57 for a few more months, and I've always I've always been a performer, but I was when I was on stage or acting, I was performing somebody else's words. Altogether different from standing up to talk about stuff that I personally hold near and dear, and messaging that I want to get out in the world about how having people rethink this thing we're doing called aging, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, having a podcast has had me have to learn how to use my voice, not just for the podcast, but
Mhm.
for getting the word out about the podcast, because
Mhm.
that's a whole other thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So tell me about you. Were you always uh, you weren't no.
I was afraid to. I wasn't brought up to speak my mind and to be
Mm,
out there
mm,
and bold. And I had an epiphany one day. For those of you that don't know, I was a single parent in the military, and as parents, we advocate 100% for our kids, right? We're like out there, we're loud, we're like, duh. And then I thought, why am I not doing that for myself? Like I would go 100% for my son, but then I would be like, I sit back in the trenches and just watch. And I thought, I need to speak up. But I didn't know what that looked like for me. And as I've gotten older, I think I've definitely gotten louder. Hello, is this thing on? Um,
I know,
and
I can't imagine you ever having been, the shy, quiet type that just doesn't suss up with my cat vision.
I think I had to understand where my voice where it is, what it is, where is my voice, how I was going to voice opinions, all this other anything, and just being able to articulate better instead of just getting angry or stewing about it, for 3 days or whatever. So I think it's important to understand what your voice is and how you're going to use your voice.
Now, here I have a question for you, Kat. You've had a podcast for 5-ish years,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And do you feel like you had well, you were volunteering already with the Women's Veteran Association, right? So is
Yes.
that where you feel like you started to find your voice, or was it before that even?
Well, I think it's important to understand that when you talk about my two passions, veterans and fitness, I can I can just do this.
Mhm.
But when you say, "Hey, Kat, what do you feel? What's your opinion on the latest and greatest in astrophysicists? No, astro. What I can't see." I'm like, I don't know. But I think when you are asked a question about something you know a lot about, it's easy to find your words.
Mhm.
So in the Women Veterans Network, I was able to find my words because I was a veteran. I am a veteran. I knew what they were going through and how to articulate that and to make other women veterans feel welcome. So, if you ask me about anything else, maybe I'll be like, I could speak a little bit about it, but that's it. But I think also sometimes we have something to say and then we change our mind. We kind of say, oh, and then we sit back.
Mm.
Or sometimes we feel like we can't even voice an opinion. Like we feel like something's holding us back. We just don't know what that is,
Yeah. I think
you
I
know?
picture right now just something about the way you said that right now just made me think of women in the workplace, let's say corporate America, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
many times do women hold back from contributing in a
Mm-hmm.
meeting
Mm-hmm.
because of whatever reason
Yeah,
that
whatever
might
the
be
office
holding.
politics is,
Right.
you
Or
know.
whatever internal story that they've got
That's
about
true
their
too.
own voice and what
Mm-hmm.
they're allowed, are they allowed
Mm-hmm.
to take up space? I think a lot of women have been trained to be polite, quiet, and
Mm-hmm.
small. And so there's some gendered training, I think, that happens in that I think women have to learn to overcome. Women in
Mm-hmm.
particular. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's just me talking. I mean,
Well, I think
I
it
don't know that
also
I have any
depends
studies
on,
to
do you think that depends on too how you grew up? Because I was brought up that, my brother got most of the attention because he was going to be the money maker, and I was just going to be, and not that anything's wrong with this, but if you know my personality, this is not me. I was going to be someone's housewife, someone's mother, someone's caretaker.
Mhm.
And I had a voice. I do have a voice. And my parents would have never pictured any of this for me
Yeah.
because they had a different story. So I feel like sometimes we have a voice, but it gets silenced at a very early age for some, not all girls as they're growing up, but my story in particular, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a really common story. I
Yeah.
do, I do, and maybe not as common for younger women
Hmm.
as it might have been for us growing up. And here's the thing, like in my family, I don't feel like there was a gendered difference in my family. My mother was
Hmm.
very always very outspoken, so I had an
Hmm.
example of somebody who always spoke her mind.
Hmm.
And but the flip side of that is that I often felt like I didn't express it because my mother was
Would
very
do it for
strong.
you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I was never I don't think I ever felt the pressure, to take on, you know, the marriage and
Hmm.
service thing, that
Yeah.
my parents generally encouraged me to do what I wanted to do. So I feel
Wow, can I come
very
be with your
lucky.
can I be an adopted sister?
You are.
So, Yvonne, do you ever think, and I've certainly thought this, that you waited so late to do something? Like you feel like, you know what I mean? Like you said, oh, if only I had done this sooner. Like whether it's go into business sooner or go to school instead of putting it off or whatever that thing is. Do you ever feel like, God, I waited so late? I feel that way for me
Mhm.
with business.
I feel that
But
way with when it comes to like the business side of things
yes.
also because,
Yeah.
hello, theater degree,
Yeah.
real helpful.
Hello,
Um,
no degree. Thank you.
I mean, it was great for what it was,
Yeah.
but it did not
Mhm.
help me when it came to starting a business. And I do
Mhm.
wish that I had learned more about business. I had no
Mhm.
interest, but woulda, shoulda, coulda, though, right?
Yeah.
So where do you go from here?
Mhm.
That's where I'm trying to land, and that's where I'd like this
Mhm.
conversation to go. So a couple of things had me thinking about why I wanted to talk about this. I had a couple of guests on my podcast recently. One of them was Gail Rice. She's a psychologist, and she did something kind of incredible in her 70s to push herself out of her comfort zone. And I don't want to give away too much. Go listen to the episode. Her name's Gail Rice, and it was pretty recent on the Late Bloomer Living podcast. But because she did that, she ended up having to kind of speak up about something that
Mhm.
didn't go right. And then she wrote about it. And then she got haters. And then she had and getting the haters made her realize how much more she even needed to show up. So there she is in her 70s, finding her voice in a whole
Mhm.
new way, you know? And another guest that I had on recently is 88. She just published her first novel, but it's a novel that's been in the works for 15 years, you know?
That's a
And
long
she's
time.
been writing and she's a writing coach. She's
Mhm.
been writing poetry and short stories and things like
Mhm.
that. And what a lovely lady. Uh, you know, and I was just thinking about how it's never too late.
Mhm.
Never too late to find your voice, to put your voice out in the world, and the world needs our voices. And then the other thing that happened is I just went to this great gathering of women in Santa Fe that was hosted by Diana Place. It was called Quest, and she runs a community called the 333 Collective. And it was all these women, like 50 plus women over 50 sharing their stories, like their stories,
Mhm.
you know? And every last one of them was like just powerful. And I've always said I believe everybody has a story that needs to be told. And it was so inspiring to see these women gathering and taking up space and sharing. And what a generous act that is. What a gift it is to share your story because of the difference that it makes for other people when they see themselves in your story, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I think I don't want to say safety, but it's a place where you felt like you could do that. And sometimes I think we think, oh, it's too late. Is it being late or is it timing and opportunity? Or is it a combination of both? I feel like timing in my life is so prevalent. You know, you want to do something and the timing's not right for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And then something happens. You know, if you had told me before COVID I was going to be a podcaster, I'd be like, "Pff, sure." And now look, okay, you can have a business. Right. But here's the thing, just do it anyway. The last line of my podcast for Sisters in Service has always said it's never too late to start your impossible. What's your impossible? What is that thing that you keep saying, I wish I could? Just stop saying I wish I could and just go do it or
Yeah.
start it. There's nothing wrong with that. So I've always called myself a late bloomer, late bloomer, late bloomer living. And I said, we have to be besties. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. It's never too late. It really just isn't. And I think it was Skylar Liberty Rose. I asked her if there's anything on this week's podcast episode, and I asked her if there's anything she wishes younger women knew, and she just laughed and she's like, "I get that question sometimes. Like, what would you tell your younger self?" And she's like, "I wasn't listening to anybody when I was younger, you know." And so when you're talking about the timing coming together, this is the time. Like, there's no better time. When was the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago, but the next best time is now, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think we get stuck, and then we start listening to, our friends. Our friends mean well sometimes, but they can hold us back a little bit.
Not
Do you?
everybody gets what you're up to.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, that's a really good point, Kat, because you got to surround yourself. If there's something that you want and it seems like it's the impossible thing, let's call it, right? Then find somebody to, like, even if it's reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching, YouTube videos or something, find evidence of somebody who's done something close or something like it, because they didn't just start there. They took steps, and then find out what they did and maybe get a coach. That's one of the things I think I've learned the most from a lot of the guests on my podcast is so many of them got help, a coach or a class or training or
Something.
something, or a community, right? Like, we have our mastermind that we're in with Kim White, and it's invaluable to be surrounded by other people who are also in the arena
And
as
supportive.
right, and they get the challenges. Like, surround yourself with those
Yeah.
people.
Yvonne, I have a question for you. So, when you finally found your voice, and did your voice come out the way you expected, or did it surprise you?
um it surprised me. I think I'm starting to realize just how salty I am, right? And I think that that's always who's been in here. And so, but for a lot of my younger years, I think I was playing nice, um, trying to be easygoing, you know,
What does that
and
get along? Wait, go
go
along
along
to
to
get
get
along?
along.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was me. Hello, Miss Go Along to Get Along. And it was not authentic to who I really am, who is like, I'm a determined, stubborn girl. And
Yeah.
that's my voice, really. And I'm learning to love her.
I love my salty side. I really do. My little, yeah. I think when mine came out, especially doing podcasting, and I want to have that lovely voice, and you just talk really nice like this. And I'm like, that's stupid. Just be you. And so finally I started being loud and proud. And I think I'm better because of it, that I'm able to get my voice across in my way, in my catitude way, to make me sound different.
Yeah.
And, to talk about those passions that I have for veterans and for fitness. So I think it's being, and we say authentic, and some people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, okay, if you have to ask that,
Right.
I
And
think you're
and I
not there
also
yet.
think it's such an overused word that a lot of people a lot of times these days will be like authentic, you know. Um
But I think
but
it's just being you. Who are you? If there
mhm.
were no cameras, no microphone, would you still be this way?
You know, it's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an interesting thing. I'm a fan of Seth Godin. Do you know Seth Godin?
I I've heard
He's
the
like a
name.
marketing genius. You know,
Yeah.
he wrote a book called Purple Cow, and just like he's a marketing genius. And he thinks authenticity is a crock as far as like marketing goes. He's like, you don't people don't want your his take on it is this,
Mhm.
and I'm still toying with this whole idea.
Mhm.
But his take is your your authentic self is not who needs to show up. It's your consistent self. It's your who are you? What are you here to do for the for what why are you it's like going back to your why, right? We've talked
Mhm.
about that a lot.
Yes.
Why are you doing something? But for me, because of what I'm talking about is so tied to my personal
Mhm.
journey of
Mhm.
being a late bloomer, that I do feel like I want to show up as authentically as I possibly can. I'm not
Mhm.
offering a service that is a step removed from me. I'm
Mhm.
not teaching people how to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not teaching people how to I'm really not teaching people how to do
Mhm.
anything.
Or you're giving people a pause to think about what
Mhm.
you're saying and go, huh. Because when you get to start thinking, you start thinking of other things. It starts the process.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you do is, besides your lovely voice, is you're talking about something or your guest is talking about something and you start to lean in and you go, oh, okay. I think that's what they mean by, again, I don't like the word authentic, but I think it's you're being who you are in asking these questions to your guest or maybe of yourself if you're doing a solo, and you're giving people that golden nugget to chew on. Don't chew on golden nuggets, but to, you know what I'm saying, is
You
to
break a tooth.
really, pause for a second and go, huh, okay, that makes sense. What else is she talking about? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Or
you're
they
like
may listen to
me.
my voice and hear the way I come across and be like, "Psh, that no, that's she's not
Mhm.
for me." And that's good. That
Mhm.
I think that's very freeing for me is knowing that I've always
Mhm.
been kind of weird, kind of quirky, overly enthusiastic. Um and that's I'm just gotta be okay with that, and the people who
Mhm.
like that are gonna stick around and hang out. The people who aren't okay with it, it's like, yeah, go
Mhm.
find somebody who's a little
But
more
see that I
polished than
think
I am.
that's I think that's a sign of being authentic though.
Mhm.
If you were trying to be everybody's thing, everybody, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it will come across as easily.
Yeah,
But I think when you have people go, okay, I'm not your cup of tea, as my mother would say, and that's okay.
yeah.
And I think that comes with growth, that comes with knowing who you are, because I was the girl that thought everybody needs to like me, and here's why.
Mhm.
That was me. And if you didn't like me, I was like, why don't you like me? I don't understand. I grew up like, I swear, I grew up like that. And then I had to get to a point where I
Everybody
was
likes you,
okay.
cat. Come on.
Okay, maybe there's one that I know. But, some people are like, oh, she's loud, she's obnoxious, and that stupid laugh of hers, and but it's
Best
me.
laugh ever. Best laugh
It's
ever.
it's me. It's
Yeah.
it's loud, it's obnoxious, but here it is. It's authentic.
Mhm.
It's 100% cat corchado.
Yeah.
you know? And I think that when we find our voice, um, and I had a question in there that, you're talking about haters. Were you afraid that you were going to lose people because of the things you were talking about, or did it matter to you?
I think the hater question is interesting. I don't have a big enough audience to have haters.
Hmm.
So either people are indifferent and they just don't comment,
Hmm.
or they move on and they don't comment.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes I'm so grateful that I'm not big enough to
Hmm.
draw haters, because I think if you get to a certain point of success, people
Hmm.
want to take you down. There's people who just don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable watching somebody else have whatever perceived success they think that person is having. They want to
Right.
take them down a peg. Um, yeah, haters. It's an interesting question, and it's something that I guess I just don't have enough experience with it, and it is something that I worry about, but I'm just, like I said, I'm salty enough that I'm gonna
Hmm.
talk about what I'm gonna talk about, and uh, and I will deal with that when and if it comes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
try not to let any fear of that keep me from saying what I have to say.
Oh, yeah, it totally doesn't stop me at all.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, see ya, bye. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a certain superpower in starting something later in life? Not
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're you're late, but because maybe you weren't ready for whatever, or maybe you were sitting on the sidelines for whatever reason, you were taking care of an elder or whatever that is, and all of a sudden you're ready to start. Do you think that there's a superpower in starting later because of the fact that not only are we older in a good way, but we've lived a life, we have a lot to say, and we're able to articulate better, I think.
Yeah, what do they call it? Crystallized intelligence by the time when you're older. With the
Hmm.
younger brains have the ability to process quickly
Hmm.
and assess and do all the things and
Hmm.
take in information and it,
Hmm.
and that becomes harder for us as we get older, but what we have is all that experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when people start something later in life, all that
Hmm.
experience that they have gives them sort of an unfair advantage in certain areas. Like when I
Hmm.
talk to guests on the podcast, so often in talking to them, I can hear what is working for them now in their
Hmm.
backstory, whatever their origin story. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, so you were a lawyer or you were a marketing, so I can
Hmm.
see where you're taking all that knowledge and now you're putting it over here and it's
Hmm.
serving you. you know
Absolutely,
you're a
yeah.
mom who raised kids who may think that you don't have any skills, but holy cannoli, do moms have skills,
Yes, they do.
right?
Yes, they do.
So yeah, I think that
Hmm.
it really is about embracing
Hmm.
the idea that, yeah, I'm starting later, and I have all the, like, do an audit of
Hmm.
everything that you know and have done in your
Hmm.
life. And when you start to audit your skills, what do people come to you for? What do people
Hmm.
ask you all the time
Hmm.
because you just know, and it's easy
Hmm.
for you and you don't think it's anything?
Yeah, if you have one of those skills where it's like, you're so good at this. If you've heard
Mhm.
that, maybe that's something you should think about,
Yeah.
because you do it so effortlessly. Like Yvonne makes photography look like click, 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 and there you go. And then she has like 250 pictures of you,
Well,
and
I
she
had to
does it
I
so
had to learn how to
seamlessly.
do that, though. I had to learn how to do that.
You
I
did.
I did. But I did that. I learned long enough ago that now
Mm-hmm.
it's easier,
Mm-hmm.
and I could still get better and better and better all the time. But what I did have, and this is the thing that I think I bring to the table, is I know what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I have always loved photography. And so in the beginning, before I had technique and the knowledge of
Mm-hmm.
all the technical things that go into making a photo, all I knew was what I liked. And I with my little point and
Mm-hmm.
shoot camera, I knew I wasn't getting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I go take a picture of the flower and I'm like, well, that's not the picture I wanted. You know what though? There's I forget who's talked about this. It might have been Ira Glass. He talks about that beginner thing where you start and you don't have the skill yet, but what you do have is the idea of what you want. And you
Mm-hmm.
just got to get through the awkward part in the beginning and do the reps of getting
Mm-hmm.
to what it is that you actually see that you
Mm-hmm.
want. Does that make any sense? Did I just make any sense at
It
all?
does. I mean, I think it's interesting that you said that because because I know what I like. Okay, let's take a website for instance. I
Mhm.
couldn't build a website if you had, yeah. Anyway, but when someone says, "Do you like this or do you like this?" I like that one. Do you like
Mhm.
this? That one. Do you like this? That one. I know what I like. I just don't know how to put it together. And I don't build websites. I don't do that. But I know what I want. When I see, like, if I took a bare room, and you know how some people could just like, oh, and they've got this picture in their head. So not me.
So
But if
not
I
me.
walk into a furniture store and I go, I want that, and they go, which one? I go, all of that right there. Thank you very much.
So I don't know about you, but before I started the podcast, I was a podcast listener. Big time. I
I
know a lot of
wasn't.
you weren't. And I know a
Mm-mm.
lot of people who were not podcast listeners, but I was. And so because of the podcast that I listened to, I knew what I wanted my podcast to
Mm-hmm.
sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm constantly trying to get to that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's a learning process like all the time.
I think I agree with you. I didn't listen to podcasts. My husband did, although he kept always told me, you have such a great phone voice, or you'd be great podcaster. I was like, whatever. And now look. But I
Judy
knew
was right.
instinctively what I wanted my podcast to sound like. I wanted it to be not raw, but to talk about those things in a safe place for veterans where we can get their story out and other people can hear it and they can say, yeah, I totally get it. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that that happened in the military. That type.
Yeah.
But for it to be, I don't want to say raw because that's not the right, but for just the honesty part of it, hearing another person's voice who happens to be your guest, and you hear the emotion in their voice, you hear the anguish, you hear the happiness, how they made it through the storm. And I think these are stories, whether you're talking about, living longer or living better or military veterans, is that you want people to go, yeah, I get that. Because that's for everybody. You have to be a military person to listen to Sisters in Service. There are a lot of stories in there where you can go, wow, I didn't know about that. Or I've heard about that. To be
Mhm.
able for it to resonate with you in some form or fashion. So I think I understood exactly what I wanted. I just had to get there because, I have not listened to my very first podcast ever, ever, and I will never, ever listen to it again.
That's funny.
Just saying.
Okay, so there was something I definitely wanted to ask you about that.
Hmm.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh, oh.
It won't be a huge surprise, but so you have recently finally started doing reels on social media where you are showing up on video and
Hmm.
talking to the camera.
Mhm.
And I know it's something that you had thought about doing for a long time, and
Probably
you
about
didn't.
2 years I've been talking about it.
And here's the thing, I'm not calling you out because I did the
Mhm.
same thing. In fact, I was like, I started off the podcast purely as a audio only thing.
Mhm.
So going on camera, even with a performing background, it
Mhm.
was different. And I was like, I wanted nothing of it.
Mhm.
And, you know, then when I was like, "Oh, I gotta get the word out about the podcast. I gotta somehow, some way," and reels seemed to be it was back when Instagram was really pushing video and
Yeah.
reels, right? And I was like, "Well, just try something," you know? So I tried lip
Mhm.
syncing to music, right? That was my in. So ridiculous. It was not even about anyway. But it was what I needed to do with filters on. And I didn't even look like
Mhm.
myself, but it was fun. And I found my way in through the fun factor.
Mhm.
Um, and now, like, and going live on a live
Oh,
stream,
no.
no, no way. And
No.
now it's like nothing.
Like, no.
Now it's like I'm sitting and just chatting with
We're
you.
just I know. I think we're just having a good time. I think I had to be, so here's where the timing thing came in, but I needed an easy button
Mhm.
because I felt, there's the camera and you're like, okay, stop. Like, and I found an easy button, which made it's still me. Okay, it's not AI, guys. I'm just saying. But I've taken my videos and we're in StreamYard and they make it easy to clip now. And I'm like, thank you very, very much. This is exactly what I needed. And so it makes it easy. So
You
sometimes
needed a technical tool because
I did.
it was the tech that was stopping you.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. See, how many things can we be stopped by, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was still on I knew I wanted to do it. And I knew at some point I would really have to just say, okay, let's just do this. Let's get this. And then all of a sudden it was like, look how easy that is, So the easy button, as our friend Kim White likes to say.
Love it. Love it. And I love your videos.
Oh, thank
I'm so
you.
glad you're finally doing them.
Too. I'm really enjoying it, I have to say.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say to someone who they really, they say, oh, I've thought about starting business, but I think I've missed the moment. What would you say to them?
Are we talking specifically about starting a business or just
In
something
general,
where they would need to use
maybe
their
they want
voice?
to. What were you doing? Were you not line dancing. What were you doing? You were
Oh, shuffle dancing?
shuffle dancing. So let's say they want to shuffle dance.
Anything that
Anything.
anybody wants to do
Yeah, and
and
I'm
they're
just using that
feeling
as an
stopped.
example. You
Yeah.
know,
You can learn
you miss
anything on
that
YouTube.
moment, but there's a moment here. So
Right.
do this moment. You
Right.
missed that one. Let's do this one.
Yeah. I would say pay attention to what intrigues you,
Mhm.
and if something seems like it would be fun, then
Mhm.
try it in the privacy of your own home. You don't
Mhm.
have to do anything in front of anybody else. Like you could
Mhm.
there's a bajillion videos. I'm learning how to do watercolor painting right now.
Mhm.
I'm having so much fun with it. And I'm a stick figure artist
Me
at
too.
best, and my stick figures aren't that good.
Yeah, I would get a C at a stick figure. I'm just gonna
But
say.
I've found a couple of different people who teach really
Mhm.
accessible projects that
Mhm.
I can wrap my and they do it and they make it look easy, and none of it is like highfalutin anything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But every time I sit down to paint, it's like, oh, it's like this little soothing oh, look at how the colors mix. Look at how that
Mhm.
goes on the paint. Oh, wait a minute. If I do, and over time, I'm learning technique with their silly little
Mm-hmm.
there, Andrea Nelson is one of the women that I follow. And anyway, I'm getting off course, but I found dance tutorials online. Shannon, I can't remember her last name right now, but she teaches, she's called Midlife Shuffle. I found her on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. And she was so afraid of dancing before she started doing shuffle dance. She was so afraid of dancing. She didn't even dance at her own wedding. That's how afraid of dancing in public she
Oh
was.
my gosh.
Yeah. But she was watching these videos of people shuffle
Mm-hmm.
dancing and she was like, that looks like fun. I want to do
Mm-hmm.
it. So she did. And it turns out she's a really good teacher.
Yeah.
And she has lost weight and she
Mm-hmm.
feels she's in great shape now. And
Mm-hmm.
most of all, excuse me, most of all, she's having fun.
Yeah.
She clearly loves what she's doing. And I get to benefit from that because she's putting out all this free content on YouTube and Instagram with these
Mm-hmm.
tiny little, and it's like, break it down. So anything you want to do, like break it down, go to YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
find a tutorial because they're there. I'm telling you,
Oh, they're
anything,
there.
YouTube University,
Yeah.
basically, that's how I learned to podcast,
YTU.
right? Anything you want to know how to do. My husband learned how to
Mhm,
rebuild a VW bug on YouTube,
mhm,
whatever it is that you want to do, just start. Just start and
mhm,
don't take it so seriously. Don't worry about the outcome.
mhm.
Explore. What
Yeah.
it, what what's the worst that could happen? Just ask yourself that.
Mhm.
And ask yourself too, what would I be more disappointed in if I don't do it or if I do it and it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And maybe you start something and you get going on it and you're like, I'm not really enjoying this. Well,
Yeah. I thought I wanted to do
congratulations.
that. Yeah, you could knock that off your list.
Right. Now you
Yeah.
know. Move on.
I
Boom.
think one of the easiest ways, because some people, they might say, well, I don't really know what that is. Remember all the things you used to do as a kid? Write
Write them
down all of
down.
those things. You know what?
Yeah.
I when I did that and I found out back in the day, I used to love playing jacks. Remember jacks? I went out and bought a jacks thing and I've been playing
Have
jacks.
you been playing? I know
I
we've
have
talked about your
been.
jacks before.
I mean, I just like, oh, and every time I'm so happy because I just remember that feeling that it brought to me.
Yeah.
We
I
just
wish
have
I
to
could grab my
slow
hula hoop, but
down.
I got a hula hoop
She does have a hula hoop
for Christmas. I got a hula hoop for
and she'll demo in our next show. No, I'm just joking.
Christmas. Well, speaking of next show, we're getting close to the end of time here,
Oh, we are.
but we got some stuff happening that's going to put us off. So we may
Hmm.
not be back in the Salty Sisters house
Hmm.
maybe until July. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe late June. We're going to keep y'all
Maybe
posted.
we will. You know.
And yeah.
All
Any
right, my
any
salty
last
sister.
thoughts, my salty sister?
No, I just think that I'm in an age now where if I want to do something, I just do it. I don't even ask permission. My husband, he'll say, "Where did this come from?" I'm like, I thought about blah blah blah, and I decided I wanted to do it. And he's like, "Oh, okay." I I realize that I have more time behind me than I do in front of me, so why not now?
Yeah.
Why not now? Start small. Like Yvonne had said, look at, some YouTube videos, look at some things that you think you probably can't. But if there's one thing to take from all of this conversation, it's this: don't miss out. You didn't miss your moment. Your voice didn't come late, it came layered. Ooh, I love it.
Ooh, I like that. Oh,
With
we're putting that
experience.
on a bumper sticker.
I know. That's bumper sticker worthy. With experience, with perspective, with truth that couldn't have existed any earlier. And yeah, maybe it's a little louder now. Maybe it carries a little edge. Mine certainly does. Maybe it doesn't ask for permission the way it used to. And that's a good thing. Because the world doesn't need another watered down version of you. It needs the one that finally decided to speak. So wherever you are in your timeline, just starting, still hesitating, or already stepping into it, keep going. Your voice isn't late, it's right on time.
I think we need to go out with some music, Kat.
Here we go. Wait. This is our walk-on music. So, with that, y'all, have an amazing, amazing weekend. And, stay salty, my friends.